Hey, it's Rod at EMPI. It's true, Christmas dreams come true. We are in an undisclosed location today in Southern California, but if you're a Porsche fan, the phrase Emory Motorsports should get your attention. And I would like to introduce you to Mr. Rod Emory, the namesake of the brand. Rod,
good to see you. Thanks for visiting.
Oh my God, it's such a treat to be here. This place is amazing. I have to ask, so everybody knows, but more importantly, so I know, how in the world did this all get started?
Yeah, well, I've been in the Porsche racing and restoration business for 33 years. All of it really started generations before me. My grandfather, Neil Emery, had Valley Custom Shop, which was one of the iconic hot rod shops in the Valley. He was really one of the guys that was the pioneer of channeling and sectioning old American hot rods. Then he went to work for a Porsche dealership in Newport Beach in the 60s. My dad went to work for the same dealership, and my grandfather ran the body shop. My dad ran the parts department. A few years later, I was born and made my way home from Hoag Hospital in a short wheelbase 911 with fat fenders and a ducktail, and kind of the rest is history.
You were destined for this, is what we're saying.
Yeah, you know, I learned the parts and the cars from my father and grandfather, and then started racing off-road. Did a lot of raced the old Mickey Thompson off-road series, worked on a drag race team while I was in high school, and then started racing a little 356 Porsche when I was 16 years old, and just kind of started building on the performance and really the idea of how capable these 356s were, and started a company, Emory Motorsports, building, restoring, and providing track support services for people. Started up in the Northwest. I grew up here in Southern California, but my first client wanted to go racing, and he had a little potato chip company up in the Northwest, and that was the beginning of it in the 90s. And from the vintage racing experience and the development that we did on the track, that started translating into the cars on the street. And today, I'll show you in the workshop, we build about 15 complete full restorations. You know, do all the sheet metal work, all the design, fabrication. But our cars, which, you know, like a little stock Volkswagen, started with, you know, 50 to 100 horsepower, and now our cars have 200 to 400 and big brakes and better suspension and drivability and air conditioning and all that stuff. So yeah, let me take you through the shop, and I'll show you kind of step by step what we do. You can see the cars, you can see them, you know, from you know, the rust buckets that we start with to full painted finished cars like this.
Awesome.
Come on and check out the shop.
Yes, please.
So there's 20 of us in the workshop here, and we build about 12 to 15 complete cars a year. We take a rusty old car that we found in a barn somewhere, somewhat like this car that you see over here.
Oh, wow.
And then we go through, and over about a 4 to 5 month metalworking process, we take it from rusty, do all the sheet metal structural work, and then get it ready to send out to the body shop. Once we get the cars disassembled, pulled apart, media blasted, then I start over here and I cut the cars apart, you know, figure out what needs to be done, figure out if we've got to make new nose panels or new doors, what those pieces are, and then it makes its way through this line of craftsmen here. These 4 or 5 guys do all the structural repair work first. We've got a frame jig that we make sure that everything's dialed in into the specs that we want. And then we start doing all the exterior, external sheet metal work and custom work. Once we get the metal work done on the cars, and the cars then prepped and painted, then comes to this side of the curtain. Now, there's a few other things going on this side of the curtain. These shelves are full of cars that are the donor cars. So those are all future projects for clients. Once the car's painted, the first thing we do, like this white one here, is we do all the final undercoating on the cars, and then we start doing all the sound deadening. Once the sound deadening is all done on the car, then we do all the trim work and upholstery right here in the shop. So our hides come out of either Germany or Italy, and we do all the carpet, dashes, door panels, all the trim work right here on site. Not only make the cars drive better, handle better, and feel better, but we want them to smell and feel like they did in the 50s and 60s, because that's really what we're trying to do, is transport them back to that time, but make it so that if their buddies and their GT3s want to go out and rip the hills at, you know, on the weekends, they can jump in their 356 and hang with them.
Yeah, that's awesome fun.
So we have 3 versions of our engine. We have a 2.4 liter, a 2.6 liter, and then our twin turbo engine. The 2.4 and 2.6 are both fuel injected. Motec, all the trick parts inside. This is an engine that we developed over the past 10 years, taking that 90s era 964 architecture, but putting it in a package that uses as many factory Porsche parts and parts on the shelf as possible. That way the engine can be serviced for decades into the future. Obviously we have to manufacture our own cases, which are cast up in the Bay Area, and Marine Crankshaft makes our cranks, and Molly makes our pistons and cylinders, but all the parts come together at our remote engine shop up in Oregon, Rothsport, and Jeff and his team assemble the engines, get them dialed in. They do the engine dyno work. Then once the engines come down to the shop here in California, we install them into the car, and we do the final kind of drive tuning and Motec work, seat of the pants.
Rod, thank you again. This has been an amazing Christmas present I didn't know I was getting. More importantly, all of our followers are going to get it as well. It was a real treat. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, and keep building cool stuff, and I'll keep putting it on my cars.
Excellent.